My name is Robert Boyer. I'm the project coordinator for the DUT project CDCLU, which stands for Consumer Demand for Circular Urban Living. I'm a researcher and project manager at RISE Research Institutes of Sweden. The main challenge that we're trying to solve in this project is uncovering demand for shared access residential spaces. Almost 40% of Europeans live alone. This is even higher in countries like Sweden. And we want people that are living alone or in smaller households to have an option to live in a smaller space without losing access to functional space by having access to a shared dining room and kitchen, or a shared office space, or a shared workshop that they might not have in their isolated private dwelling. So that's the social problem that we're trying to solve. The environmental problem we're trying to solve is improving the efficiency of living spaces, because someone living alone with their own kitchen appliances and dining room and workshop and office space, that's a lot of resources for one person or a very small household. So we're really trying to find a solution where people can have access to all sorts of functional spaces at lower environmental costs. In cities all over Europe, there is a housing crisis, and there is pressure to increase the supply of housing, increase access to housing options. I understand, and I think a lot of people understand, that one solution to this is building lots of housing very fast, the way that we've built housing for years and years and years. One message that I would like to convey to decision makers in the urban environment is that it may be worth taking a pause and exploring new types of lifestyles and new types of living patterns that could be accommodated through sharing. One obstacle to implementing new solutions is the uncertainty about whether this solution will be profitable. Will it be a good business decision? That's a very understandable obstacle, and I would not expect policymakers or housing developers to implement a solution that is not marketable and can't make some kind of profit. That's why in the CDCLU project, we're actually looking at consumer willingness to pay. So the main method that we're using is a choice model that helps us determine how much individuals would be willing to pay for certain features of shared access spaces. For example, how much more or less does a bookable space is a bookable space worth to people than a non-bookable space? How much more or less are people willing to pay if there's 24-hour maintenance in a shared access space versus no maintenance in a shared access space? How much more or less are people willing to pay if a shared access space is less than 1 minute from their front door versus 1 to 5 minutes from their front door? And we found some really interesting findings. We've begun collecting data and we're beginning to analyze the data, and one really interesting thing that we've found is that certain people in certain countries want these shared access spaces to be very close to the door. And then other people in other countries want it to be more than a minute walk from their door. So sometimes being very close pays, and sometimes being a little bit further away pays more. But it depends on the country and on the type of space.